Lately, I've been pondering how Signal makes ends meet, as they don't charge anyone for the use of their product. Operating a service with tens of millions of users is very expensive, and Signal doesn't have a mega corporation backing it like WhatsApp does. So, I did some digging into publicly available information, including tax filings with the IRS. Signal Messenger has a large user base. According to the BBC, they had over 40 million active monthly users in the beginning of 2022. I also use Signal and find it to be an excellent, secure, and for the most part, privacy-respecting messaging system. Signal app is very polished and gets updates frequently. Clearly, it's a secure messaging platform and it's easy enough for everyone to use. What's less clear to me is how Signal can be financially viable over the long term. Unlike most other open source projects, Signal is not just software that's relatively cheap to develop and host. Signal is both software and, more importantly, a large 24/7 cloud service with hundreds, if not thousands of servers that provide text messaging, file sharing, and voice and video calling. Signal has a voice and video group calling feature which requires centralized servers with lots of bandwidth for handling the multiple streams. Signal also allows attachments up to 100 megabytes in size and holds them for long periods of time. That takes up huge amounts of disk space on Signal servers. Disk space costs money. Attachment transfer takes up lots of bandwidth, and someone has to pay for those. So, where does the money come from? Signal is funded by donations. Freedom of the Press Foundation was Signal's fiscal sponsor between 2016 and 2019. Freedom of the Press Foundation's IRS Form 990 for 2016 shows $886,937. The 2018 shows $840,510, and the 2019 Form 990 shows $1,040,000 for project funding for Signal to Quiet Riddle Ventures, LLC. Being a fiscal sponsor, according to the Freedom of the Press Foundation, meant a crowdfunding effort where donors could make one-time or recurring donations to Signal. Signal was not a 501c nonprofit yet, so they couldn't take tax-deductible donations themselves. That's why Freedom of the Press Foundation was involved in setting up the donations. In the early days of Signal, it was also supported by the Shuttleworth Foundation and the Open Technology Fund. Crowdfunding and donations can be an effective funding model, but the continual crowdfunding of a large-scale service like Signal is something that no one has done yet. Not even Signal. At the moment, Signal depends on the benevolence of a billionaire by the name of Brian Acton. Mr. Acton co-founded WhatsApp and then sold it to Facebook for $19 billion. His part of the sale was estimated to have been $3.8 billion. He started Signal Foundation and gave it a 50-year, no-interest loan of $105 million in 2018. The cash infusion has allowed Signal to hire software developers and pay them a competitive wage, scale up the service, and introduce new features. On the other hand, some of those extended features, such as large attachments and group video calling, are expensive to maintain. Brian Acton's $105 million donation would sustain Signal as a text messaging system for a very long time, probably 10 to 20 years or longer. Now, with the added features, increased payroll, and tens of millions of new users, that money will be gone soon. Signal Foundation wholly owns Signal Messenger, LLC, the nonprofit company which produces the Signal Messenger app and employs Signal's software developers. Signal Foundation's 2019 IRS Form 990 supplemental information states this about the Foundation's governance. The organization has one sole member, Brian Acton, who is also director, president, and secretary-treasurer of the organization. The organization's sole member has the exclusive right to elect any director. The member of the corporation has the following rights, as set forth by the bylaws. Number 1, the exclusive right to elect any director and set the number of authorized directors. Number 2, the right to remove a director. Number 3, the right to vote on any sale, lease, transfer, or other disposition of all or substantially all of the assets or properties of this corporation. Number 4, The right to vote on any merger of this corporation, but only to the extent required by Delaware General Corporation Law. Number 5, the right to vote on the dissolution of this corporation. Number 6, the right to vote on the amendment to repeal of the bylaws. Number 7, the right to vote on any amendment to the certification of incorporation. Number 8, and the right to vote on any other matters that may properly be presented to the members for a vote pursuant to this corporation's certificate of incorporation, bylaws, or action of the board of directors, or by operation of law. If I understand correctly, Brian Acton is in charge of everything at Signal. He's the only member of Signal Foundation. That should make annual meetings easy. One person voting for directors, president, secretary, treasurer, etc. Handy. I wonder if they need motions seconded. As the only member of the organization, he has the power to do anything he wants. Elect directors, remove directors, sell, lease, transfer, and dispose of assets, change bylaws, and even dissolve the organization. That's a pretty exclusive club. Actually, come to think of it, it is the most exclusive club in the world. A club of one. So is that good or bad? I don't know. It might be good. At least there will never be any question as to who is in control. On the other hand, it might keep others from being involved, as they'll never have much of a say in Signal's direction. That makes a guy wonder if Signal's founder, Moxie Marlinspike's departure as the CEO of a Signal Messenger LLC in January of 2022 had anything to do with this organizational structure. Oh, and by the way, take a wild guess as to who took over the CEO spot in January. Yep, you guessed it right. Brian Acton is the new CEO of Signal Messenger LLC.